welcome to another session of Music Matters with Ev. And I am so pleased and fortunate to have the opportunity to interview someone, and if I can remember the list, she's a filmmaker, songwriter, political counsellor, activist, cook, and many other things. Welcome, Dawn Parry.
Hi, did you say crook or cook?
Cook.
Hopefully it was cook. I'm no crook.
Do you know what?
Hi. Nice to meet you,
Everton. Welcome. And it's a privilege. There's so much, and I feel like we should do a spin-off series called Life Matters with Dawn Parry. But
it does matter.
Today, we're going to concentrate on music because I was introduced to you via your music and I was so impressed. I thought, okay, I need to find out a little bit more about this young lady. So please tell us where it all began for you, your music.
Oh my goodness. No, you don't really want to know where it began. It began with some friends of mine one of whom now lives in Australia. I grew up in Singapore in the Far East and always loved music and was in the choir and when I was at prep school, one of my very good friends, Noni Roderick, and myself and another one, Melanie Cutts, we used to do ridiculous little shows when we'd have sleepover nights. And there was Michelle Clough as well, I think, who used to take part. And I used to come up with the songs and we would do things like The Three Little Pigs for our parents and stuff like that. And I would come up with quite rude, silly songs as a sort of 7-8-year-old child. But they rhymed and they had a melody, and that's where it started.
Right from then, as a young girl. So tell us, where has your musical journey taken you? Because I'm imagining it's taken you all over.
Yes, in lots of ways it has. But I also had terror of live performing in front of lots of people. And that all that came about at the Kite Festival some years ago. But anyway, ignoring that, I started by, I had my first child when I was very young, but I'd already started to write songs. And so I decided at one point, when I was about 21 or 22, to record my first song in a studio. And it was called Happy. And it was really catchy. It was, it was classic sort of Stock Aitken Waterman time, all that kind of, you make me happy. It was just, and full of the, the classic pitching it up by a third at the end of the chorus and so on. And I had a lot of very, very positive feedback from that. So from there, I got spotted and was asked to join a band. And then I joined another band, a different band altogether. And I wrote a lot of the songs and they would write some songs as well. But some of the songs weren't so great and they'd asked me to sing them. But, going back to the 80s, I guess, late 80s and stuff, late 80s, early 90s. And things were really quite different in lots of ways. So me, the blonde dolly fronting the band, one of the band members wrote this song and it was just, oh God, Paul, please forgive me. This is the guy who wrote the song, but it was just the worst song I've ever come across. It was, give it to me hard and fast. Can you imagine? I mean, I'm reasonably ladylike, and well, actually, I am very ladylike at all times. So that was one of the shock songs that the first time I ever actually said to anybody, "No, I'm not going to sing that. We're not doing it." So we didn't. But through that band, we were called Swing Injection, and we had a lot of gigs, and we released some stuff, and that was all terrific fun. And what did I do then? Oh, we made fabulous pop videos and all that sort of stuff. And I just kind of continued to write. And I realized in a way that I prefer performing politics more than performing music, or chat shows or anything like that. I did lots of I did some voice work for BBC, drama stuff, and I do lots of different accents and things like that. And I kind of thought, do I want to put myself through the terror of singing live, or shall I just keep writing? So So I've kept writing, and through my writing, yes, I've met some amazing people. I was asked to write the theme music for a film that was being done by Pixar at the time, a cartoon movie, an animated movie, written by Fleur Coles, her name was, and Robert Vavra. Robert Vavra was the horse whisperer guy. Fleur Coles had, and both these people are ancient. Sorry, forgive me again, but I know that Fleur has passed away since. But they were huge in their own industries within publishing and writing and things like this. And they loved a song that I wrote called Lion and Blue, which was about the best love song I think I've ever written, except I've got more coming along now, yet even more nicer songs. But yes, so I met some amazing people, and you know, the address that I had to go to was simply 1 Piccadilly, who lives in somewhere called 1 Piccadilly, and her neighbour was Terence Stamp, and a previous neighbour was Edward Heath. You know, these are apartments that are bigger than a mansion, just one apartment.
So tell us about your instrument skills. When did you start learning instruments?
I suppose I was about 11. Maybe 12, somewhere around there. No, maybe 10 even, 10 or 11 anyway. And I was sent to piano lessons in Singapore. And the piano teacher, she was an enormous, very pleasant, I suppose, to most people, but not to me. She was a huge Malaysian lady. And she had a stick, and she'd wrap my knuckles with this stick and I was already, because I used to play by ear, so I was already you know, using 2 hands and playing with harmonies and all this sort of stuff. And this woman, she would wrap my knuckles and maybe make me sort of play, you know, merrily we roll along with one hand. And so I found it very frustrating. And anyway, she sort of, I think she sacked me. You know, I think she told my parents there's no hope for this one. so that was that. And then and we always had, my father bought me a great big Yamaha organ for my birthday, and I think it was my 11th birthday. So I used to play on that. And one of my Chinese neighbors, who was a really, really good pianist, she used to pop over. She was just a little girl called Lai Lai, who used to pop over, and she'd show me some classical stuff. But then I'd just, you know, go off and do my own thing and continue to do that. My father bought me a beautiful handmade classical guitar when I was about 11 as well. And I never stopped playing it. But I'm not brilliant at any of the instruments that I play. I have got, I tell you what, let me show you a really weird instrument.
Sure.
I won't go for long, 1 second. For anybody who does any kind of stuff with children or sound things where you want to really kind of excite children or tell a story and you need storms and lightning and things like that. This thing here, it's called a storm in a teacup. Have you ever seen one?
No.
Ah, this is remarkable, honestly. Watch this. So you turn it this way up. It's got a spring coil on it, and it's just got a little bit of resin here. But I don't know if you'll pick up this sound, but the cats are terrified of it. My cockerel goes crazy over it as well. Can you hear that?
Okay, yes.
So you can create thunderstorms and lightning by just hitting the string, this coil. It's incredible, but it makes for some very exciting music if you know, when you're playing the things. I'm not suggesting, obviously, that is a musical instrument that you could go to university and study, obviously, but it adds to storylines and things. So yes, I've got a violin over there, but I'm dreadful at that and really not very good at all. Saxophone, I can play a bit when I need to chuck in a bit of sax on something, but again, not brilliantly. But guitar and piano, fine.
Okay, well, I must say that when I heard the 2 songs of yours that you sent me, I was impressed with it overall, but particularly now I want to ask you about your production skills. When did you start to become adept at producing?
Well, years ago, you know, I had a 64 track desk and a what else did we used to have? All the, you know, with all the sliders, it was all analog, and so easy. To me, it was easy to use, you know. It was like spaghetti junction to people who don't understand the stuff, because there are so many cables and jacks and things going in, and all sorts of plugs and sockets and everything. But everything would come out of the back of your pieces of kit, go into another desk, into a little bit into your computer. But your computer was really, really simple. You know, initially it was an Amstrad that you couldn't do anything with today, but we were able to you know, to create music on that sort of stuff very, very easily. Today, so today, I find producing music at the moment, only because I've recently had to switch over. You know, I was using some Roland gear that was fantastic. It was fully digitized, obviously, but I didn't need to constantly hook up my computer to it until the last bit when I was mastering things. So I would be able to physically just play instruments in, drop myself in, create my harmonies, and it all felt very tangible. You could, you know, you could touch it and feel it, and it's an exciting way, because it's all in real time as well. You're not, you could put in loops and all that, but you don't. You can quantize things, but you don't, because it's a really good skill to have, I think, to be able to produce things from their natural state and then create a really polished article afterwards, a polished song with them afterwards. So right now, though, I'm now reduced to one large Apple Mac screen, a little, you know, a keyboard that's maybe twice the size of this thing here. And it's difficult because there's nothing to touch. So I can plug in some of my instruments, like a, you know, a little guitar or guitarlele or whatever, and my voice, but everything else. And here's an amazing thing. So I have this fantastic Roland XP80, all singing, all dancing, fantastic keyboard that cost me thousands of pounds some years ago. Still very expensive to buy now. Do you think I could use it on this latest Pro X, whatever it's called, software? No. It insisted that I go and buy some cheap, crappy do keyboard for about, I don't know, 80 quid or 100 quid or something. And that keyboard will now play any orchestra, anything. And the software, I have to say, is remarkable.
What happened for you musically in 2020?
Very initially, it was one of these, oh, you know, we can have 6 people in the garden. I know, let's get 6 of my friends round. We'll all sit 2 meters apart. Obviously, we're all very good. Let's do jam sessions in the garden with tea and jam and cake as well, real jam sessions. So we were all playing and having a great time. And then, of course, all that wore off really quite quickly, because there was that realization that all my friends that do go out and perform live couldn't go out and perform live anywhere. And that was very frustrating. And that was quite a downer, really. For me personally, I became quite demotivated after a while. I thought I was going to be, you know, everybody around me seemed to be up and about exercising and doing all this stuff. And I was going for a walk on the beach in my pajamas, you know, well, obviously, the very best pajamas, clearly, nothing looking too odd. But I really felt demotivated and wasn't feeling too concerned about anything other than not catching COVID. And then as over the second, you know, I mean, this is our third one now, but over the kind of the second one before Christmas, October, all that sort of period, I started writing again, and playing much more, and, you know, more recently, and thanks to other motivational factors, including yourself and radio stations who've started playing my track Castles in the Sand, in fact, several, you know, there's one in California now. How lucky am I? And you know, it's a funny thing, music, isn't it? Because while you can't help but feel, ooh, you know, is it ageist? You know, am I too old to go doing this stuff? The great thing about being able to create music and play music is that you do it until you take your last breath, I think, you know, as long as your marbles are working, and your fingers, obviously, and your voice. But in reality, yeah, so it's been an interesting and extraordinarily unusually busy time just recently, and now I've got a new album to put together. And you know, we have to see what we can do with that and how it goes.
Excellent. So what do you see as the future?
I think this is a really exciting time. I think that because everybody now is spending so much more time online, you know, I mean, look at us, you know, we're able to get our personalities through a screen, we can chat, we can, you know, enjoy ourselves and stuff. And I could say to you, hey, have a listen to this piece of music I've got. And we could listen while chatting. Now, there's no reason we can't do that on a much larger scale as well. And then on top of all of that, because people are used to going online, I think this could be an awakening for protecting our music as well. Because currently, one of my sons, I don't think has ever paid for a piece of music, which absolutely horrifies me. But that genuinely is the way that kids are today. You know, they don't think they should pay for music. Well, why should people like me write music and put it out there for no recompense whatsoever? It's a job. You know, it's an enjoyable one, but it is a job, and your back is often to the wall with time constraints and all sorts of things like that, and the equipment to create the stuff is very expensive. Your licensing for certain things is very expensive, you know, when you want to get it out on certain platforms. So people should pay for it, but they get away without paying for it. And I know it was in the press a couple of weeks ago, for example, that Gary Newman has earned just a few pence, and yet he has sold millions of copies of one of his more recent songs. In fact, speaking of his recent songs, have you heard Intruder? This is a classic example. An artist who is much older, producing music that is phenomenally good, and is brand new and out right now. And there's a heritage chart show that comes out on Sundays, and it's fantastic because you're getting all these heritage artists, all their music, and there is a massive audience out there listening to this stuff that the BBC doesn't seem to understand, want to hear, you know, good music, not just populist nonsense. So from a security aspect, I think that we could all learn from this period of lockdown, where if we do, for example, like Eddie Grant has done, you cannot, if you try to Shazam a piece of music that Eddie Grant has done, it won't come up on Shazam because Eddie Grant has protected all his stuff. He owns it, and you have to buy his stuff. You can't just go and get it free and download it and so on. And that's what we can learn now, and use all the online platforms to ensure that we do earn, you know, what we should earn.
Okay, so thank you for that. What would you advise someone who's thinking of starting to become active in music?
Do it. Just go and do it. You know, find out. I mean, we can't go and play in pubs or anything like that yet to gauge an audience reaction, but our biggest audience is here. It's huge, you know, and maybe learn a few skills with regard to how to meta tag and things like that, so that you can direct an audience to come to your music. And I don't see why we can't have enormous audiences for the style of music that we put out there. And it doesn't, and it shouldn't be ageist, it shouldn't be timist, all these things. We should just be able to find what we want to enjoy listening to and play it. So anybody who has a burning desire to create music, go and do it. But don't do it with just putting loops and more loops and more loops from other people's stuff. Create your own, make some magic.
Very, very good advice. All right, so where can people hear your stuff or get a sample? Because we don't want people downloading for free.
Exactly. Well, actually, that's something I've been working on this morning. So I'm not yet sure which platform I'm going to use at the moment, but people can email me, dawn@dawnparry.co.uk.
Okay,
yes.
So you have a website then?
I have a website which is just being built right now. I started it this morning, so by the end of the day, it'll be a little bit of a lightweight one. You're not going to get all my songs on it because I'm not going to give anything away. But so I'm looking at the platforms now that are, you know, likely to be the best platforms for me, and it could be SoundCloud, it could be Apple, it could be, you know, iTunes, whichever. but we'll have to see, because I need to do some really good research this time on it all.
Wow, that is so exciting. You've been working on your website this morning and interviewing now. This is music.
You know, this is me. This is me, darlings. Always current.
The thing is, when I looked at what you have been active in, I thought to myself, you're either Superwoman, or how many hours in the day do you have?
I don't sleep that many hours, and I really ought to. I ought to sleep more, but I don't. You know, it's exciting. We're a long time dead, so why not live it while we're here?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm writing a book at the moment as well, which, you know, is that's all rather fun as well. How to Meet a Man with Delissa, who's also a film producer. So the both of us are writing this book together, Delissa Needham and myself, and that will be out later this year. Hopefully, by the time people are out of lockdown and can actually go and meet a man.
Right. Well, Dawn, I am going to discuss with you after this interview, because I am sure that people will want to keep in touch with what you're doing, all of the different things that you're active in. And so I'm not going to ask you, because I know that you will come back and give us more interviews.
Of course I will.
Right.
I'd be delighted.
So excellent. Thank you very much. And
thank you as well.
Until next time. Take care.
Lovely to meet you, Ev.
Bye.
Ciao.